Hello and welcome to a whole new episode of The Week Gone By. I'm Anindo and I will bring to you all the news and updates from the last week that made the headlines. In India, the Union Budget was announced, whereas in Pakistan, Minorities Minister Shahbaz Bhatti was killed. This and much more in the coming 1 hour. Now, the big story that we have been tracking throughout the week, that is Pakistan's Minorities Minister Shahbaz Bhatti, died after gunmen opened fire on his car in the capital Islamabad on Wednesday morning. He was travelling to work through a residential district when his vehicle was attacked by unknown assailants. Bhatti, Pakistani cabinet's only Christian minister. He had received death threats as he had asked for reforms to notorious blasphemy law. But he had just left home when 4 gunmen surrounded his vehicle and started shooting. Reports even claimed that Bhatti did not have a security escort at the time of the attack. No group took responsibility for the attack, but however, pamphlets supposedly issued by the Al-Qaeda and Tehreek-e-Taliban Punjab was recovered from the site. The pamphlets warned that anyone who criticized the blasphemy law would be shot. Reactions came in thick and fast after the incident. President Asif Ali Zardari condemned the attack and vowed that such acts would not deter the government from eliminating extremism and terrorism. Prime Minister Gilani too condemned the killing and visited the local Al-Shifa hospital where Shahbaz Bhatti's body was transferred soon after being shot at point-blank range by unknown assailants. The Prime Minister on Thursday also announced a 3-day national mourning over the killing of Minority Affairs Minister Shahbaz Bhatti while speaking at the National Assembly. Moreover, Pakistan's Interior Minister Rahman Malik said on Thursday that there was no security lapse in the assassination of Federal Minister for Minority Affairs, Shahbaz Bhatti. Now, it was on Monday last week that Indian Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee announced the Union Budget for the fiscal year 2011 to 2012. In his budget speech, the Finance Minister signalled the government's commitment to consolidate and expand economic reforms while continuing on the path of fiscal consolidation.
India stands at the threshold of a decade which presents immense possibilities. We must not let the recent strains and tensions hold us back from converting these possibilities into reality. With oneness of heart, let us all build an India which is not too distant a future, will enter the Committee of Developed Nations. Madam Speaker, with these words, I commend the budget for the consideration of the House.
The Finance Minister estimated the economy to have grown at 8.6% in 2010-11 and pegged growth at 9% for next fiscal. He made a strong case for tackling high inflation and gave a push to economic reforms. The Finance Minister said that agriculture sector had grown at 5.6%, industries at 8.1% and the services sector at 9.6% during the current fiscal. Led by higher than expected non-tax revenue from auction of 3G spectrum, Pranab Mukherjee pegged the fiscal deficit at 5.1% for the current financial year and reduced the estimates to 4.6% for 2011-12. The exemption limit for general category of taxpayers was enhanced to 1.8 lakh rupees from 1.6 lakh rupees. According to the new tax slab, income of rupees 1.8 to 5 lakh would levy a tax of 10%, income of 5 to 8 lakh would be taxed at 20% and income over rupees 8 lakh would attract 30% tax. Budget announcements also had a direct impact on the cost of essential commodities. Here's the list of what will become cheaper and what will turn dearer. The essential commodities which are to become cheaper include mobile phones, refrigerators, home loans, cements, printers, paper, diaper and sanitary napkins, homeopathic medicines, soap, steel, yarn, raw silk, LED lights, battery-driven vehicles, agricultural machinery. And commodities which are to cost more include healthcare in top-end private hospitals, branded clothes, cold, air travel, AC restaurants serving liquor, hotel services, drugs, medicinal equipment, prepared food stuff like sugar confectionery, pastry and cakes.
pursuant of my earlier budget announcement to provide a real wage of rupees 100 per day, the government has decided to index the wage rates notified under...
With an estimated 60% of subsidized fuel not reaching its targeted population, Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee has said that BPL families will get direct cash subsidy to buy fertilizers and cooking fuel at prevailing market price from 2012.
It has resulted in significant enhancement of wages for the beneficiaries across the country.
Moreover, there has been an increase of 17,071 crore rupees in the defence expenditure for the next year, whereas allocation for infrastructure has been increased by over 23%.
Now it was throughout last week, thousands of South Asians returned from Libya and told harrowing tales of chaos, violence and looting, and above all, the relief of being safely back home. On the other hand, Gaddafi showed no signs of quitting as the United Nations on Tuesday suspended membership of Libya in the United Nations Human Rights Council as violence in the North African country continued.
With no signs of violence ending in Libya, Indian External Affairs Minister S.M. Krishna spoke to his Libyan counterpart Musa Kousa on Tuesday and sought his support to evacuate Indians from Libya. Of the 18,000 Indians in Libya, 3,504 have been safely evacuated till now. Moreover, 2 Indian warships sailing to Libya to evacuate Indians will reach Alexandria in neighbouring Egypt on March 8, and it will stay on the station till the evacuation of all the 18,000 Indians have been evacuated. On the other hand, all the Nepali citizens trapped in Libya shall be rescued through government expenses, including the cost of food and accommodation. This was decided by the meeting of the Council of Ministers on Tuesday. Spokesperson of the government said that bringing back the Nepali citizens who were still in Libya would cost around 70 million Nepali rupees. Meanwhile, Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina herself is looking into the issue of Bangladeshi nationals stranding in Libya, and the account is as high as 60,000. But with more workers coming back to Bangladesh, there is a rising fear of imbalance in the remittance earning, which has witnessed a balanced trend in the recent few months. Moreover, Asian stocks dropped for the first time in 4 days last week as spreading tensions in the Middle East drove oil about $100 a barrel, reigniting concern that higher energy costs will hamper the global economic recovery. Libya is the only member of the OPEC organization of the petroleum exporting countries so far seriously affected by the protests rolling in the Arab world. Also, it was last week that Gaddafi dismissed the idea of leaving, rejected the allegations that he had ordered a crackdown on opponents, and repeated his belief that the Libyan people love him. On the other hand, questioning his mental state, the United States and allies intensified their efforts to isolate Gaddafi, further calling him to step down immediately. Furthermore, the United Nations on Tuesday suspended membership of Libya in the UN Human Rights Council as violence in the North African country continued throughout the week. Speaking to the General Assembly before its action, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said that Libyan authorities must end the violence and respect the human rights and aspirations of their people.
And it was last week that Professor Muhammad Yunus, the microcredit pioneer who presided over Grameen Bank for about 40 years, was removed from the post of Managing Director of the organization. A Bangladesh bank letter on Wednesday said that it had stripped off the microcredit pioneer from his position in line with the Grameen Bank ordinance.
This came in the backdrop of the letter by Bangladesh Bank official which stated that Professor Yunus continued to hold his post beyond his retirement age of 60, which was not lawful. In fact, earlier on February 14th, Finance Minister A.M.A. Mohit had confirmed that the government had asked the Nobel laureate to stay away from Grameen Bank as long as a review of the microlender continues. However, it was on Wednesday that the bank's general manager Jannat-e-Kaunain at a press conference claimed that the bank had been following recruitment rules properly. Now, a day after the Bangladesh government decided to remove Muhammad Yunus, a writ petition against the removal was filed at the High Court, and the 70-year-old Nobel laureate filed the petition personally. The High Court then sent Sunday as the day of its judgment on Mohammad Yunus's writ petition challenging the legality of his removal. Now speaking to the media after filing his petition, Professor Yunus said that it was not a big deal who was the managing director of Grameen Bank, but that the bank itself should not suffer in any way. And interestingly, Yunus also said that he had wanted to quit long time back but was continuing on the insistence of the bank's board of directors. Meanwhile, Finance Minister AMA Mohit said that there was no alternative to removal of Mohammad Yunus as Grameen Bank Managing Director, but added that the government had no political motive behind his removal. Furthermore, the US expressed deep concern over the process through which Grameen Bank Managing Director Mohammad Yunus was removed from his position. Talking to reporters after the meeting with the Finance Minister on Thursday, the US Ambassador to Bangladesh James F. Murati said that US was deeply troubled by the process that was followed in the case. But however, Bangladesh Foreign Minister Deepu Moni said that the removal of Professor Yunus from the Grameen Bank would not strain bilateral relations between Dhaka and Washington.
And time now to go out and check out updates from Sri Lanka, where the court on Thursday refused to grant bail to 17 suspected LTT rebels who had been arrested when they were trying to flee the country last month. The Colombo Magistrates Court ordered them to be further remanded until March 17th. The Sri Lanka Navy arrested the 17 suspected rebels on February 19th when they were heading towards Australia on board a multi-day fishing trawler in the sea 20 nautical miles off Hambantota. I will be back next week again with more news and updates from across South Asia. Till then, goodbye and keep watching TV South Asia.